how do you sympathetically restore and clean and paint a chassis without taking the body all the way off and taking every single part off the car? Let's go to the other side and I'll show you how we're going to do that. All right, so this is a 1965 Corvette we're working on. The frame, the undercarriage, it's roughly the same. It's not a unibody car like some, but essentially these techniques will be the same. So our first step was we pressure washed the whole car very carefully, and this is as far as we got, getting most of the stuff off. Our next step, we'll take a wire brush and just basically scuff and wire brush this. We'll take all the components off here so that we have more access to it. But before we put the rear corners back on, we'll very carefully mask, and sometimes we'll use a piece of cardboard to block so we don't paint the exhaust and such. And we can basically put the original finishes back on and make this thing look like new. So let's get the rest of this corner apart. We'll clean and mask some more, and I'll show you how to do this. All right, we've obviously taken the rear corner off of this car. We're not going to get into the differential. We'll just block that off before we paint anything. But we can now clean and paint and kind of prep this back the way it was originally. So we've got the NCRS National Corvette Restorers Manual, and they've said that the frame itself, which as you can see is in very good condition, it's just a little bit of dirt and surface rust, was painted in a satin black. And then the wheel wells had a certain amount of undercoating. Generally, they were not done carefully. We may do it a little more carefully, but we'll undercoat that, and we should be able to put the car back together. All right, so the first thing we've got to do is the frame needs to be black, but it needs to be wire brushed a little better. And scraped. You want to try to get some of this paint off. It doesn't need to be perfect. It is, after all, the frame underneath the car. But you want it looking better than this. And the other thing is you want to protect it. I mean, this is in very good condition with probably minimal factory paint, but you know, we can do better now. We have better technology, better products, and we can make this last forever, pretty much. We're going to be less aggressive with this. You don't want to really put a whole bunch of wire brush on this and scratch it up that bad, but we can scrape it, we clean it up some, and then we'll re-undercoat it. And this should look, you know, in less than an hour, this will look pretty much brand new again. So you need to think about safety. I'm wearing gloves. This stuff's pretty nasty. When we use this tool, we want to use ear protection. And of course, you want to wear a mask to keep this dust and stuff out of your lungs. So this is not a frame-off restoration. This is more of a rolling refurbishment. So our primary task is to not make this, I could spend 100 hours on this, making this perfectly smooth and it's nicer than the outside of the car. But that's not the idea of this. The idea of this is to protect the car and get it basically back towards original. Undercoating is going to cover this quite nicely. It will cover any small blemishes. You're mainly trying to get any grease or stuff like that paint won't stick to. You're trying to get that off. And we're gonna go over it with a prep all and make sure that it's a pretty clean, dry surface, and then we can put our finishes on. So, but as you can see, in just 5 minutes worth of work, this cleaned up pretty darn good. We'll obviously go all the way around the car later on. You can do this a little at a time and do as much and take as much time as you want, depending on what your goal is. Again, we're not trying to make a Concours car out of this. We're trying to preserve it and make it better. Another product you could use on this is a steel wool. I wouldn't use a super fine steel wool. This is a 1/0 steel wool. And this too, yeah, it does a nice job of kind of cleaning things up. We'll go back over this with a little prep saw. You want to try to end with the prep awl or prep saw, just to make sure that basically takes all your dust and your grease out. A couple other steps. First, I like to blow everything off with an air hose that basically gets any other loose dust, pieces of dirt out of there, and it also dries everything off after using the prep awl. And the next step is we're going to have to mask this wheel well. Yes, the paint isn't great on this car, but we certainly don't want to clean undercoating off of it for 3 hours. So we'll mask that up a little bit, and we'll hit this with some paint and some undercoating. Another trick that I use is you could spend a lot of time masking off this exhaust or masking your undercoating from your frame. But what I like to use is just a piece of cardboard, and you can cut it to shape if you want, or use it how you want, but basically you can go down, and that way you're not getting your undercoating on your frame, which is not the way it was originally. But that's a quick, easy way to mask. Now, does that work on a topside perfect Concours situation? No, but for trying to paint a chassis, it works pretty darn well just to keep paint off the exhaust and stuff like that. All right, some of the products I use on a regular basis to do this kind of work are, Eastwood makes a rust encapsulator. This is a matte black finish, which it can be left alone, or this Extreme Chassis Black is a phenomenal paint. It's not cheap, it's about 20 bucks a can, but it really coats nice and it's very durable, and you can put this over the rust encapsulator once it dries, which is not today. But this will give you the look, and then I'll go back over it later to make it even better. So this Duplicolor is a phenomenal product. I've used it on quite a few different cars. We don't want to glop it on. We're going to just put a nice light coat, see what that looks like. We can always add a little bit as we feel is needed. This stuff, all this stuff's, except for the Eastwood, eastwood.com, but the rest of this is available at any Advanced Auto Parts or any kind of auto parts store generally. One other tip, you want to do this in a well-ventilated area. This stuff will mess you up. So we've opened the doors, we've got fans on, so you need to think of that before you do this. Now, you don't want to do it out in the wind and the rain, but you want to be in a nicely ventilated area. And I'm not that worried about a little bit of overspray. You can always take this, you could take your prep all, and that will, while it's wet, this will take this right off. And you can also do this. If you want to protect that, you can just line this right up like this, and it will take care of that. So you're doing a little bit at a time, and you're moving your cardboard to accomplish what it is you're trying to accomplish. So I've done the rust encapsulator first. This is just going to get black paint and not undercoating, because you can see this was never undercoating, because why would it have been? And then this is going to get undercoating. So I'll spray some undercoating in there. In a perfect world, you'd let one dry before you started the other. I've done enough of this, I think I'll be able to fake it. As I said earlier, you could cut this to whatever shape you want. All right, so I've put some undercoating on. It probably could use a little bit more, which I'll do in a minute. I've got our chassis, our rust encapsulator on the frame, which could be left alone, or I can put a little bit of chassis black over it, but I need to wait for it to dry. This fiberglass has a little bit of blue overspray. The car was painted once, so probably that's where it's from. So we can do that. Don't want to get it on the exhaust because that'll stink. All right, this whole thing was shot live time, and as you can see, this didn't take very long. So, and we've got pretty good results. So I'm pretty happy with it, and we'll go around the rest of the car. You can do a little bit at a time and do the same thing, and you've essentially restored your chassis. And then when you put your nicely painted suspension components and CAD-plated parts back on, it'll look pretty much like brand new. If you like this sort of stuff, like and subscribe to our channel. And go to our website, classicmotorsports.com, where we've been working on this and other cars, and we've got tons of restoration tips and a lot of other fun features.
Support brands that support Classic Motorsports. Get your chemical solutions from CRC Industries. Visit crcindustries.com to learn more. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And to see more stories like this, visit us online at classicmotorsports.com.